Hello and welcome to another live chat. This one's going to be with some guests, so they'll be coming on shortly. And they are from the UK, and their channel's called Hidden UK. And basically, they go round to potentially haunted locations and they show a live stream of what they're doing in those locations. So we'll have those on fairly soon, and we'll chat to them and see what they've got to say. Now, I have spoken to the person before, and he has showed me some footage where he was in this supposed haunted house, or I think it was asylum or something like that. And they tap on this door, and then they hear a noise, and there's three of them, and they're all going a bit crazy, going, "Oh, what was that? What was that? What was that?" And then they tap on the door again, and the door slams shut. Now, if I didn't know the guy, I would have said someone's behind the door, but I know the guy, and he won't lie. So it's going to be fun to talk to him. So that'll be coming up. He'll be joining us around 1:35, so another 10 minutes, give or take. So until then, I'll go through any questions if anyone's got any questions they want to ask me. Hello to everyone that's just joining. I've just started this live. Scrolling down, see if there's any messages. No messages yet, so I'll just waffle on then. Mike has wrote, what alien species are we aware of? Well, it depends on who you asked. So there's people out there that have given misinformation, such as Corey Good, who's now admitted that he's lied. So we can really go by back in the 80s, the secret American government supposedly knew about 73 different species. We can certainly verify that they were aware of two by the documentation called the SOM 101, which is Special Operations Manual. And in that manual, they were referring to two, what they called EBENs, EBEN Type 1, EBEN Type 2, which is extraterrestrial biological entity. And those EBENs are what we're aware of now. This was obviously back in the 50s that they had that Special Operations Manual. You can look it up online if you're interested. It's very fascinating. Shows you what the military has to do when a crash craft, when they find a crash craft. They have to lie to us and all kinds of stuff. But those two that's in that handbook were the Orion Greys, which are the Android type ones, and the Zeta Greys, which are the silicon-based life forms. So we know, if you go by the SOM 101, we know of two that's verified. Hello, History and Coins, thank you. How are you? The other 73, or I was 72, 71 at the time, back in the 80s, we've heard stories of Palladians, there's stories of Dracos and so on and so on. Hard to say exactly how many species are out there, and it's hard to say who's telling the truth. So, for example, there's people talk about Arcturians. I have never, ever come across any evidence of any Arcturians. Now, you could say, well, how have you got evidence of, the Zeta Greys, etc.? Well, these are from people that has been abducted and so on, hypno-regressed. Whereas the Arcturians, no one's been picked up by the Arcturians. So it's just a name that's floating around out there. Same as Lemurians. There was no such thing as Lemurians. Yes, there was continents that were sunk. We know that. The Great Flood did that. But it doesn't mean that there was a smart race out there, a more advanced race. Because we've got zero evidence of it. And I just... So basically, the bottom line is... we can sort of hand on heart say there's two that we're aware of. But there is many, many more. And then you got people like Billy Meyer, who I've done an amazing documentary on, and showed that he actually had a model So he was faking it. So the chances are he may have seen the UFO right at the beginning and then told people, and they were said, "Oh, I'd love to see if you've had a," and then he ended up faking it, unfortunately. So that didn't help because obviously he was calling them the Plajarans. So that's another race that we can cross off and say no, that's not real, even though technically he was kind of nicking the Pleiadians off of the using that name Plajarans. He also used a few names from ancient Greek and ancient Egyptians to pretend that the people that he was talking to, this is Billy Meyer that was talking to these Plajarans, ended up with the same names as ancient gods, which I think he was just trying to find names that sounded very cool. Okay, Lewis has wrote, the dog pushed button that has phasers like go outside. Sorry, did I miss something? Hello, sorry, Lewis has wrote, hello everyone, have you heard about the talking dog video? The dog push buttons that has phrases like go outside. Yes, I've seen them quite a few times, and cats can do them as well. Very, very clever, because if that's... Obviously the videos are genuine, but if the dog actually comprehends what he's saying, and the cats, then it shows the awareness that these animals have, that we have no idea just how aware they are of what they want to say but can't say it. So it's fascinating. I know, I love those videos. Heathy's put clappy hands. Thank you very much, Heathy. So just to let everyone know, in another 5 minutes or so, give or take, there'll be someone joining us called Hidden UK, and that I'll be sort of interviewing them, so to speak, about what they do, going round to the ghost sort of hunting, shall we say. Just scrolling down. Just trying to find the next message. No, there's no more messages. So I'll just waffle on then until those people turn up. So I don't know if you guys have seen. There was a YouTube video. One of my followers sent me a message saying, "Did you see the YouTube video?" I know it sounds egotistical, but literally they copied my whole text and just dumped it in their video, and unfortunately they got more followers on YouTube than I have, so but it goes to show that I am, if these people supposedly know what they're talking about, they wouldn't have needed a copy off of me. So I know it's big-headed, I know, but there's only a handful of people out there that actually research. And seeing as I do it every single day, I think I am the foremost expert in these subjects, which is hopefully why you're listening to me now. So, and you got to remember that out of 9 billion people, only a handful bother looking into Anunnaki. Even small amount look into, ancient Greeks, ancient Rome, ancient Egypt, and India, and Norse, and all the other things. So it narrows it down to just probably 2 or 3 people on the whole planet that look into all of that. So I'm not smarter than 9 billion. I'm just smarter than 2 or 3 people. So yeah. So it's interesting that they had to utilise my knowledge. History and Coins wrote, they are going to get a rude shock about doing what they did. I have put up a complaint only because if they do it now, they're just going to keep nicking all my videos, and they'll nick other people's videos, and they actually have their own Patreon page, and they're monetized. So basically, they're making money off of me, which is really sad because I put the effort in. I'm off today because I do this. This is what I do. I lose money at work so I can do these videos, and so yeah, sorry, I did digress there, but just to let everyone know, Anthony's wrote, do we know anything? I'm not sure what the anything's regarding. You do follow me, see, I'm not sure what that's referring to. Sorry, Anthony. Just to let everyone know that while I'm still waiting for those people to join, I'm working on the Space Force video at the moment, which will be out this weekend. So every weekend I released something new, and so this is why I'm off today. I'm going through the Space Force, which covers the X-37B, which is their spacecraft, and it covers the TR-3B as well. So Barrister Jimmy has wrote, I need you to tell me you believe crystal skulls, with loads of laughing faces. So those of you that, so I'm just going to block that numpty. Those of you that know about the crystal skulls, has possibly seen some of my documentaries where I prove that, first of all, no one made any money on the crystal skulls, though they donated them, and second of all, I proved that only one person debunked the crystal skulls, and that was someone that worked for the Smithsonian, where they're still showing it on show. And the Smithsonian deliberately wants to debunk these things because obviously they're all part of the Rockefellers, if you know your history. So the crystal skulls, the genuine crystal skulls, are genuine. Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Barrister Jimmy doesn't know that Hewlett-Packard even looked into them back in the 70s, I think it was, and they turned around and said these are phenomenal. You know, there's no way that people back in the 70s could have made those direct out of crystals without cracking, splitting, or anything like that. It was just phenomenal. That's their words, not mine. So hopefully that sort of shuts up Barrister Jimmy. You know, if that person's a barrister for real, I would, and I know this is going to sound really big-headed, but I would be able to run rings around that person on any subject. Because when they have to put laughing faces, remember this, guys, when you put laughing faces, it means you can't articulate your standpoint. You just give up straight away by putting the laughing faces. So because Barrister Jimmy put laughing faces on the end of his comment, which was, I need you to tell me you believe in crystal skulls, and then loads of laughing faces, it basically means they will run. This is what normally happens. They'll put the laughing faces and then they run. They disappear. They'll leave the chat. And the reason why people do that is because they feel like they've got the last word in, and they're frightened that someone will come back and actually educate them. So in this case, Barrister Jimmy, I have done that to you. I've educated you, even though I blocked you for being a numpty. NR Rex has wrote, keep up the good work. Oh, thank you very much, NR. I've not seen your name before. It's very nice of you to say. I know I'm egotistical, but I put the effort in, and that's my only one vice. Normally I'm a good guy otherwise. Pam has wrote, Grand Rises from Iowa, USA at 7:30 a.m. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to wake you. Go back to bed if you want to. And but yeah, no, thank you. You're obviously up on a work day. Kerry's wrote, hello sir. Hello Kerry, nice of you to join. So any second now we're going to have Hidden UK join us. It's a couple from the UK who go around to various places. Now they have got some equipment that they take, so it's not just them walking around doing their lives, etc. They actually take equipment, which they'll explain what kind of equipment that they bring with them. So be interesting to hear, because I have spoken to the person. As I say, I've seen a video of his that if I didn't know the guy personally, I would have said it's fake. Hands up, honestly, I would have said that's fake. You know, but because I know the guy, and because I know that there's no benefit in him whatsoever to fake something like that, I found it very interesting, because the door slammed. The video that you showed me, the door did slam. It wasn't. That's why I thought it was fake, because obviously someone behind the door just pushing it. So hopefully they'll join us any second now. In the meantime, I'll just waffle on. So the next video after this Space Force one that's being released this week will be the elongated skull video. I keep pushing it back because it's such... I mean, I'm doing research and no one else has collated before, because I'm looking into absolutely anything that could have an elongated head to create the elongated skulls here. At the moment, I still don't think that the elongated skulls belong to the Anunnaki. I keep looking at carvings and everything of the Anunnaki, which I show in the video. So I know people say the Anunnaki the ones with the elongated skulls, but the elongated skulls that we have found are not 8 to 12 foot tall. And the Anunnaki called us little people. They've got the carvings, we've got the door frames, so we know that they were genuinely big. But the elongated skulls are not too dissimilar from our size. Sorry, Oh, sorry, I missed the question there. NRT Text has wrote, I cannot seem to get you website to show up. Can you put the link in here? Oh, thank you very much, History and Coins. That's very nice of you. Thank you. Yeah, so you can if you can get to the website, you can get to everything from there. You can get to the categories, which will show podcasts and stuff, or you can just literally type in at the top what you want to actually look for. History and Coins has wrote, oh, that happens a lot in some places that I've investigated. Well, the doors. Yeah, I know. So one day me and you should just do a live together, History and Coins, if you want to. But yeah, so I mean, I don't really generally watch the TV programs where they have people doing the ghost hunting, and although I do believe in spirits, I struggle because I know that on TV shows they have to fill the airtime. And now imagine if nothing happened in an hour episode and they've got a series to fill. If absolutely nothing happens, then then the show's gone. Okay, Hidden UK's here, so if you can request to join us, if you know how to do that, to join the live, I'll turn the volume up. I'm trying to figure out how to request to come up. You've got over 1,000, haven't you? That would be terrible, wouldn't it? Do you need 1,000 still? Oh no! Imagine you need 1,000. You've only got 400. Oh no, you got 4,000 followers. That's cool. Sorry. So it's one of these technical things where I'm not an expert on TikTok, and you all thought I was an expert at everything. I'm not. I'm really not. But I'm just trying to find out. I don't know how to do it. Hidden UK. You need to request. I'm trying to figure it out. Let me see. Hidden invite. Found it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So hopefully. Hello there.
Hello.
Okay, so you're not showing your face today. That's no worries. So who?
We can if you want, or we can keep it like this.
It's up to you. It's your call.
Yeah. Okay. Let's try and flip it. Oh, we'll keep it like this for now. It's not a problem.
Yeah. Okay. So Hidden UK. Who have we got there with you?
So it's me and Louise. We are Hidden UK.
Okay. Hi, Louise. I've heard all about you.
Thank you.
No, I'm joking. So if you could tell us a little bit about what your channel is then, if anyone's interested in following you.
So our channel, Hidden UK, it started off as a history channel, but it was more obscure history, like the lesser known things. And whilst exploring history, we realised that there's always a paranormal element. So we started delving into the paranormal side. And we did a few paranormal investigations and stuff like that on our lives. But what we found is a lot of our paranormal investigations, there was zero activity, like nothing. And we felt really disillusioned. And you know what? A lot of these TikTokers doing the paranormal, a lot of them must be faking it because we got absolutely nothing. So we decided not to pigeonhole with the paranormal and just let it happen. So we decided that we would focus our channel on history, paranormal, UK culture. We've covered things like fox hunting, and also the weird and wonderful, even things like insight in the UK and stuff like that. So it's a broad range of topics that we cover that are all UK based.
Sorry, your sound kept going in and out a little bit there. So if whoever's speaking next, if you would just maybe, I know it might still go in and out, but if you could maybe speak a bit closer to the mic, that way we would still be able to hear you.
Okay, cool. Is that
Yeah,
clearer?
definitely.
Hopefully, yeah. If so you started from a history and you ended up into paranormal, and then nothing was happening. So then what happened?
Then we we stumbled across an abandoned building that was local to us. So then we started getting an interest in urban exploration. And we found that the history, the urban exploration, and the paranormal all tied in. So that's kind of what we do, like exploring abandoned buildings and speaking about the ghost element and the history and stuff like that.
So why do you think there? I mean, so you've had some encounters already in
Yeah.
some places.
Yeah, we have. We found though that when you actively try and set up a paranormal investigation, and you use all the equipment and you ask things, you can't get these things on demand. So we decided to stop that, and we just realised that when we go about our thing, things just kind of happen naturally.
Okay, so why do you think that would be the case?
So it's a big question because we've seen so many paranormal pages that kind of seem to be getting lots and lots of activity, and we went out actively looking for it and didn't find anything. I don't know. I just think there's more to the paranormal than we realise. I think it's kind of the kind of assumption we've kind of come to is it's kind of their choice whether they kind of connect with us or choose to communicate. It's not us that can control that. That's what I'm starting to kind of think.
Yeah.
So do you think they know your intention?
Yeah, I reckon there's something in that. I do think that. That's what I'm starting to think. Yeah.
Yeah, possibly. So when you try and get activity on command, they seem to not do anything.
So,
What do you think?
I mean, because I did that Ouija board where I asked in my head, I was just me and my mum, and I did a Ouija board. Long story, it wasn't really a Ouija board; it was just letters cut out, but upside down glass. And in the end, because of the way I thought I'll ask whether you can read my mind, and it went to yes. So
Oh,
I asked questions in my head, and it kept going to the correct answers. It was just me and my mum. So because of that, I know they can read your mind.
that's interesting. I think you told me about this previously. So you would probably partially agree with us, possibly then on
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if they can read your mind, and even me talking to clairvoyants and mediums, etc., they say that if you think of the person that's passed over, they will suddenly be there for you. So they're not always around. They don't have to be in your room, but they can get to you with in a blink of an eye, by you thinking of them, no matter where they are in the universe. The passed over one. So if with all that being said, when you go into a place and you're intentionally trying to incite a
Communicate.
reaction, they, for whatever reason, they may not want to, or they may have been, there may be laws on the other side. I don't know, that sort of says, you're not supposed to give the game away, that there is life after death. I don't know, but so what's Blair showed me the one where the door slammed.
Yeah, that was completely unexpected. We went out, didn't we, to an urban exploration because we do urban exploration where we look around abandoned places, and we went out to an ex-military site just to basically explore it thoroughly. And it was nighttime, probably I don't know 10, 11 at night, probably.
Yeah.
And we were just going down the floors, looking in the rooms. They were actually ex officers' messes and British military messes where they used to stay and sleep. And for some reason, we walked down into one particular room on these three levels. I think it was floor 10 or floor 9. And we had Louise's brother with us at the time, and we heard some kind of noise in one of the rooms. Now, we explored all rooms. There was no drafts, nothing that could possibly be opened by a draft, as often it does. And we often try to debunk our own experiences first. And there seemed to be a knock, like a bang on a door, and then the door opened. So we thought, is there a draft? And there wasn't any kind of draft. And then Louise's brother basically said, whoever's in room 6, which it was actually room 6, please can you shut the door? Can you do that again? And it slammed shut on demand.
That's the first time we've had anything on demand, isn't
Yeah,
it?
nothing like that has ever happened to us before. That's for sure.
So is it sorry, I'm a bit of a skeptic. I'm not
Yeah, you
obviously
have
I
to
believe
be.
in spirits, but is there a possibility that that room may have had another door, that someone had been following you guys and then was waiting in the inside that room, and then because you'd already checked it, but they've come through after you'd checked it.
That is what initially crossed my mind, because on the video I'm heard saying, my brother's saying, film it, and I'm going, yeah, but I'm scared, because I actually had the thought somebody might have followed us and gone into that room. So I was terrified, but it's really hard to gauge from that clip whether or not it's real. But we actually live streamed the whole experience from when we climbed into the ex-military base, climbed the tower, and then from when we went outside again. So the whole live will show that there was no one else with us. But from that clip, I know some people could say, oh, that could be fake, but that the whole video would actually show a better picture, wouldn't it? But it's at least an hour long, I think.
Yeah, and also if anybody who watches the video will see the design of the actual messes and the, it's like a little studio flat, isn't it? Really, that there's lots of them.
Yeah.
There's 4 on every floor, and the design of them is there's only one way in and one way out, and the rooms that are there's no other rooms or doorways that are on the rooms, so there was no way there was anyone else in that place before us for sure, or while we were there.
So the next question is, if that happens again, because the video you showed me, you didn't. I mean, you generally sounded nervous and scared, but if that happened again, would you actually open that door and go in after the door had shut?
Yeah, definitely.
You'd do that now.
Yeah,
It is scary when you're there, isn't it?
it is.
Like to when something actually happens, it really does test your nerves. But yeah, I think we would definitely go in that actual room. We're thinking of actually going back to do it at some point.
Yeah, we're thinking about taking equipment this time and seeing if we can actually get a reaction, because every time we've done a paranormal investigation and tried to get stuff on demand, nothing happens, but we're certain here there might be something, because it was so strong and so clear on that night.
Definitely. I mean, the thing is, you've also got for the duration of when you went in there, you was already on a heightened sense of security anyway, because you're in a place that you couldn't really been in. So I can understand why you didn't suddenly open that door and hope that there was a spirit behind it or a person, some druggie or something. So I can understand why you didn't do that, but from now on, it might be worth at least doing that. Then you can at least rule that out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes, a lot of these times, we just go with just us two, because obviously we're the channel. Sometimes we take along Louise's brother as a third person, just because you don't know who you're going to bump into in these places when you're walking around old abandoned buildings and houses and mansions and stuff like that. It's quite interesting, but you don't know who you're going to bump into. So sometimes when you just go with just more than 2 of you, it does kind of obviously give you a better sense of safety.
Yeah, definitely.
So when you do these lives, do you let people know where you're going in advance, or?
No, you don't. You should never do that. That's kind of the rule of doing it, I think, because then you don't know who's going to. Someone may turn up to try and disrupt your live, cause you problems, or also try to fake stuff while you're there doing it. So we only do it while only announce where we are, or exactly where we are, when we're about probably 15 minutes in.
Well, that's a good idea. That makes sense. So once you've done a live, what happens to the footage? Do you put it on YouTube or anything?
So what we do now is we upload the full live to our Patreon, or we put it onto TikTok for subscribers.
Right. Okay. So do you do other things other than lives?
We do like general posts. So we might pick a topic, like if anyone that wants to go and see our channel can scroll down our page and see the different posts that we've done. We go to all kinds of places like obscure. There's like a pet cemetery that no one knows about in Hyde Park, and it's before, I think it's in the Victorian times or just pre-Victorian. People used to bury their pets, and they could range from dogs, cats, monkeys, birds, even. So not a lot of people know that there's a pet cemetery in Hyde Park. And amongst lots of other topics, like there's an operating theatre in London Bridge that was pre-Victorian, and they used to. It was a Herb Garrett, wasn't it?
Yeah, a Herb Garrett, and also an old operating theatre where they used to amputate people, and they still have the old operating table there with the grooves in from the saws. So we like to find all of these obscure histories that are lesser known.
Okay, that's good. So, I was going to say, so your lives, are they free? Because I know you mentioned Patreon and I know you mentioned subscribers, but can people, if they followed you, would they be able to watch your live free?
Yeah, absolutely. All of our lives they're always free, and we try to document everything, like from the moment we enter a building or a historical site right until the end.
And how often do you do these lives?
Weekly. We try to do them weekly. We're always going out and about all around the place. London, Kent, Suffolk, Buckinghamshire, Berkshire. Our aim is to get over as much of the UK as possible to document all these weird and wonderful places. This weekend just passed, we were at Orford Ness, which is an ex-military base. They used to test atomic bombs there and radar during the First and Second World War, and just after that as well. So that's somewhere that we didn't know about until fairly recently. So we went and visited the place. You have to get a ferry across a spit, or to get onto a spit, part of where the North Sea meets the country. And that's really, really interesting. So we will cover all kinds of weird and wonderful places. And actually, Orford Ness is actually known as Great Britain's Area 51.
Oh, and you was allowed fairly close to the area, or?
Yeah, you can go over there. You pay to get on a ferry and go over there, and there's like a National Trust people walking around looking after you, but you can only go into designated places there because could be unexploded ordnances and stuff everywhere. So there are weird looking bunkers and laboratories there that you can only really go into one of them. I mean, a lot of these places are kind of falling apart over time, but there's a speculation that there's a whole huge underground facility there that no one's allowed to get into.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. So it definitely isn't just spirits. It really is weird and strange places that you like going to as well.
Yeah, definitely. We wasn't going to look into UFOs, and I didn't actually believe in UFOs until we were in High Wycombe in Buckinghamshire, probably a couple of months ago, and my son said, "Mummy, what's that in the sky?" And he pointed, and we saw a cluster of UFOs. I tried to get it on film, but I wasn't actually filming. I did manage to capture some of it, which we've put on our page. And from that moment, I think Blair's always believed in UFOs, but from that moment, I started to become a believer. So that's why we have started to talk about that as well. So hopefully we'll cover more British UFO sightings as well.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, well, you know where to come if you need any help with that.
Yeah.
For sure.
So what's the equipment that you would that you have for the ghost side of it, the ghost hunting side?
So we have cat balls. For anyone that doesn't know, they're round balls that when moved light up. They're generally used for cats, but ghost hunters use them as well. We've also got a REM pod, which is a device with a huge aerial, and if anybody goes in within a certain circumference of the REM pod, it will sound an alarm. So that is used a lot. And the other device that we had was just a simple radio that we would scan through the channels to see if we could pick up any sounds. But there are a whole range of other devices that can be used, but we just haven't invested in any of that yet.
There is another really cool app called SLS Camera that people can download, and it basically just acts like a normal camera, but it picks up on there any kind of shape of a human body that that can be seen or not seen, and that can produce some quite interesting results.
Definitely.
Someone on the comments has wrote magnets question mark. I'm not sure if there's anything you know about magnets and tracking.
No, we haven't looked into magnets. No, we haven't looked into that at all, have we?
No, I've never heard of.
Oh, that might be the rods.
It could be the
Are they
divining
magnetic?
rods, possibly. I'm not sure what that means, but
Have
yeah.
you thought about divine rods? Divine rods.
Oh, well, I haven't learned how to use them, but it's something we could possibly look into down the line.
I mean, they're obviously cheap, and if you can get them to work, then Bob's your uncle, really. If you can get them to work.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some interesting places coming up, like this year, that we'll definitely get some extra equipment. There's a place in Colnbrook, which is near Heathrow Airport, for those that are not familiar with this area, and it's called the Ostrich Inn, and it's has a notorious history of over 60 murders there.
It wasn't me. You can't prove a thing.
It was before your time, mate.
Woo!
But yeah, in one of the rooms, there was a couple that owned the inn at the time, back in I think it was in the 1600s.
Yeah, it was around the time of Dick Turpin,
Yeah,
the highwayman.
The highwayman. People used to stop there, and the couple had designed a bed that when drunken people who were going to stay in the inn overnight, when they were going to bed, the couple would press a lever, and then the person who was drunk and sleeping would slide down a slope where the pillows were into a boiling vat of water or oil, and they'd be dispatched and robbed.
There was a reason they did this. They did it to very rich men, and rumour has it as well that this couple got some of the men so drunk they would get them to write their last will and testament before they murdered them.
Wow, so it's almost a Sweeney Todd scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. But what the room that they've done it all in is still there. It used to be called the Blue Room, but now it's called Room 11, and you can actually stay in that room. So we're going to be booking that room at some point this year, and we're going to be doing a live through the night with our equipment there and see if we can pick up anything in that room. Lots of people have seen things there, heard things, have been touched on their shoulders and their back. So yeah, it's got quite a spooky history there.
So I know you said that you don't tell people where you're going in advance, which is a very sensible thing to do, but do you actually let people know you're going to be doing a live in advance? So if I was following your channel, would I get a little video pop up saying, this weekend we're going to be doing a live, come join us?
Yes, we do. Obviously, we let people know that we're out and about doing something, and we will drop a hint as to the kind of thing that we're doing, so people know that we're going to be going live at a military base or X this, X that. We just don't tell them the exact location until we're right there and kind of into the live a little bit.
And what time of days is? I'm guessing it's night time for all of these, or some of the other ones?
No, it can be daytime as well. Like when we was at Orford Nest, that was in the kind of afternoon. We done. If it's a paranormal investigation, it's generally evenings, but it could be a day. We tend to like going places also that we're not going to be disturbed, where there's not many people around. Obviously, abandoned places more often than not, because they are extremely eerie.
So how do you find an abandoned place?
Well, there's different kind of websites you can go onto and look up Derek places, abandoned places, which are quite interesting. There's people they're called urban explorers, which we fall into the category for as well, that go on and visit these, could be hospitals, asylums, that are all closed down, obviously, military sites or mansions, and they document it and take pictures. So you can go on there and it tells you where they kind of are, so you can also pick some of them. They're always interesting to get information off. There's websites that specialize in that, but also the real special ones are the ones that you just end up kind of coming across. And a way to do that is when you go through the country lanes and parts of the country like Berkshire and Buckinghamshire and Suffolk, Get yourself off the beaten track and just look around generally. It takes a bit of driving around, but sometimes you come across the most amazing things that no one's really touched for a very, very long time.
Right. So, when you go to these places, are you specifically looking for stories of dead people, or do you just look first for a place that's interesting?
When we go to these places, we usually do the urban explore, and then we look into the history of the place afterwards, because a lot of places we just stumble across. And talking of dead bodies, that's actually one of our worries. When we go into these places, we're never sure what we're going to find. And there is always that element of fear. Like, what if we did find somebody? What would we do? How do you explain that you're walking around an abandoned building? It is quite a scary thing that we think about.
Yeah, I mean, you never know what's there. Who's there and stuff. To be honest, I wouldn't do it. Not just yeah. I'd have a baseball bat with me just in case.
Yeah.
That's why when you go in, people shouldn't do these kind of things on their own.
No, never.
There are people that do it on their own, but we've always thought that a little bit foolish, because a lot of the abandoned places, so the dangers that you can come across in the abandoned places are you finding something that you don't want to find, like a body or something. Secondly, you might come across unsavory people that want to mug you or do something bad to you. And thirdly, you may actually fall through a flooring, a ceiling, or stumble across something and get extremely injured, and then you're on your own, right?
Definitely.
So you've got plenty more lined up for the future, you said?
Yeah, we've got tons lined up. Just some of the places that we're going to be going to will be the Ostrich Inn. There's also a website that you can actually hire out old churches and stay overnight in old churches. That's something we're going to be doing. We're also going to be taking us to York to look around York, which has an amazing medieval history. We're also going to be going to take Hidden UK on tour, because we're going to be going abroad later on this year. And this country, can't say where it is. This country has a real rich history with the Knights Templar. So we're going to be taking Hidden UK abroad, and we're going to be doing lives and posts there from this country.
Okay, and you've not got a website. You only mentioned TikTok and Patreon. Is that right?
Yeah, we did have YouTube and Instagram, but it just wasn't very usable. There just wasn't a lot we could do in it, really. So we kind of scaled everything down and focused everything on TikTok, because that's where our bread and butter is, really. And the Patreon was a great place to upload our lives and get a little bit of exclusivity for people that want to support the channel and watch our lives that we've done previously. We've done so many different ones that are really interesting. So people can check that out on Patreon, or we are in the process of uploading these lives to TikTok. We've got about 13 on TikTok now that subscribers can support and watch these, and we're uploading more each week.
So I've just looked at your Patreon page. Why do you charge £200? I'm joking. How much do you? How much do you charge, just to let people know, just in case they're interested?
It's about £3 something, £3 to £4 something, and they get access to all the lives we've done so far that are on there, and all the ones to come. There's no extra costs. In the end, there'll be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different lives and tours that we've done that people can just watch to their heart's content. And some of these people may not be able to go out to these places. They could be disabled, and so people might want to watch a tour because they can't go themselves on a particular tour, or they might be from another country. So that's kind of something we're focusing on, doing the tours and the lives for people that may want to watch and go on the tours that they can't physically go on.
Is there for people that may want to see what you do, is there a free one that you may have on your TikTok or on your Patreon page?
There's tons of free stuff on our TikTok people can see, and there's some free posts, free tours and lives that we've done that are on Patreon that people can watch as well, so people can get the gist of what we're about. There's a couple on there. One of them's a really good one called the Prospect Inn, and that's an very old inn in London, in East London, that's got a really rich poltergeist and pirate history there. And we done a tour and live there last year, and it's an amazing one because they've still got the gallows there that they used to hang people on. So that can be watched completely for free.
So it really is just, interesting places, isn't it, that you guys go to?
Yeah, absolutely. I can see in the comments that Kimberly asked, have we visited a mental hospital? We haven't been able to visit any mental hospitals or asylums yet. However, we did an urban exploration quite recently at the Grace Cancer Institute at Mount Vernon Hospital in Northwood. It's old and abandoned, and it was the first place that they ever tested radiation on people. And that was absolutely terrifying, wasn't it?
It was, because we actually got into the store that they used to store the radioactive waste from the, I suppose there were kind of experiments they'd done there to try and save people. But actually got in there that made us extremely worried.
Yeah, I was thinking you should have had some equipment there that goes off if you're near radiation.
Definitely.
Yes, absolutely.
Donna's wrote, seances would have been interested in one of these places. I mean, how far would you go if next time you believe there's something happening in one of these places? How far are you going to go? Are you going to try and stay there instead of running, or are you going to once you've found that something's happened, are you going to suddenly get your equipment out? Because obviously, as you say, they don't seem to respond to the equipment at the beginning. But if something makes itself present, would you try and communicate a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. A few times we have been on lives and we've run when we've heard stuff, but we're slowly getting a bit braver. So I think next time we will stay and try and ride it out and be brave and try and get some kind of activity.
The more you do these things, the more you get conditioned to being in that environment and what you might come across. But the one thing we wouldn't do is we wouldn't touch on Ouija boards.
No, never. No, we're a bit scared of the occult, so I don't think we'd dabble in Ouija boards or anything like that, just in case.
Yeah, no, I mean, you never know what you bring through.
Yeah, it's pretty terrifying, but it's exciting at the same time. It is a thrill, but you have to take a bit of a sense of responsibility and be careful, because people have told us that you can get attachments. So things can attach themselves to you that you're unaware of, and you might go to a place that has something there, leave not knowing it's attached itself to you, and then stuff starts happening in your home that never happened before. So there is an element of that kind of makes us a little bit nervous as well.
Brilliant. Kerry's wrote, have you been to Chester or Tyneham?
No, not yet, but what we do is when people suggest places or ask questions, we jot it down on a list in the hopes that we can get there at some point.
Brilliant. I'm surprised Kerry knows of Chester, because Kerry's from the United States. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. Kimberly wrote, wow, we have some they did shock treatments on. I'm guessing that was the same thing you was referring to with where they were testing people.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys are brave. You should use spirit protection, though.
Yeah, we don't know much about that.
No, we have to look into that, because we did actually visit Pluckley, which has been documented as Britain's most haunted village. And when we were driving out of the village, we had a strong smell of alcohol in the back of our car, which was there for a minute or so. So we did wonder if something followed us at one point, didn't we?
Yeah, because we don't drink at all, and Pluckley's a really tiny old village, and it was late at night. There was no one else around. The car was locked, so there's no excuse why there would be any sense of alcohol or anybody physical smelling of alcohol getting in. So it's only when we got in, I kind of noticed there was a really strong smell of alcohol coming from the back seat, which made me jump. I thought someone was in the back seat, and there was no one there. And it took about a minute or so to get out of Pluckley before the smell went. So that was quite a strange experience.
Okay, that's not what you told me, Blair.
What did I tell you?
No, I'm joking. Yeah, alcoholic you. I'm joking, but no, the spirit protection is not a bad shout. Just to look into it. You know, I'm not an expert on that. History and Coins, who's on here, might know more about that than me. But it might be just worth just learning something to help yourselves down the line.
Yeah, I think we'll look into that, definitely.
Absolutely. And if any of your people in this live and followers, if they want to add us and let us know of any kind of things that we can do to protect us on our adventures, that'd be fantastic.
Well, James has just wrote, meditate, clear your energy, and call in good spirits. And he's not on about alcohol.
Oh, that's a good one.
It is though. It's a good one. That's what I've heard exorcisms do. You know, they call good spirits in to attack the spirit in the person that's been possessed. So that's not a bad shout as well.
We'll have to look into that. Yeah, that'll be something we're going to look into for sure.
Yeah.
Susie then wrote protection and banishing too, just in case. So a way of sort of saying, thou shalt not pass type thing, get rid of them.
Exactly. We just want to say thanks, Ultra History, for bringing us on. And it's been really nice talking to you and obviously communicating with people in the live and stuff. And we'd like to return the favour possibly next week.
Yeah.
For you to come on one of our lives and we'll talk about some stuff. It'd be really fantastic.
Even with my poor dad jokes. Okay, fine.
Absolutely.
If you want. Yeah, that'd be lovely. Thank you very much. So I will put this on YouTube as well and on my website and everything for people. So obviously you don't have a website for them to get to. So when they search Hidden UK, what are they looking for? What's the graphic image on your Patreon or on TikTok? What would they look for so they know that they've got the right person?
So our logo is Hidden UK, and we have a castle above the writing, so a black and white castle.
Okay, because I mean, when I was looking for you guys before, there was a few Hidden UKs, so I wasn't sure which one you guys was. So that's good. Well done. History and Coins wrote, I can help suggest a few things to help you with protection. So History and Coins has unfortunately had 3 near-death experiences, and obviously, yeah. Luckily, she's with us, but she has also looked into spirits a lot. So if you want to chat to her in the background, she will be able to help you as well.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Kimberly's wrote, follow Chris Clairvoyant. He can help with cutting cords and creating boundaries.
Okay, we'll look into that.
It's a bit of luck his mum's surname was Clairvoyant.
Yeah.
Chris Clairvoyant. Sorry.
We'll have to wrap this up now, Ultra History, as we've got to get somewhere. But it's been really amazing talking to you, and thank you once again for inviting us on.
That's all right, and stop with the alcohol. Remember what I told you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Dad.
No worries, guys. Wish you all the best.
And you.
And
you.
I'll catch up with you again soon.
Definitely.
Thank you very much for joining.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Okay, so just disconnect. There you go. So that's the alcoholic pair. No, I'm joking. That's history hidden what was it? I forgot what it was called. Hidden History UK, Hidden UK. That was it. James wrote, it's always important to keep our energy field clear. And Kimberly's wrote, thanks for sharing. And then Michael's wrote, make it a circle of salt around you. Yeah, I've heard that. I've not really looked into that, because obviously there's holy water and things like that, and sometimes um, the petals as well, certain flower leaves and stuff. So yeah, I've not looked into that. Maybe History and Coins probably knows more about that. Obviously, you do as well, Michael, by the sounds of it. I did try and watch the new Ghostbusters last night. Actually, I didn't like it. I turned it off halfway through. I just thought it was a bit predictable and safe and kiddish. That's just my opinion. History's wrote no drink driving. No. Hidden UK, and then History's wrote she's off to bed because History and Coins is I think it's whatever it is, 11 o'clock now, nearly 12 where you are. So thank you very much, History and Coins, for even joining in. I appreciate your help. Missing Cat has wrote expert with an exclamation mark. See, this is why I get told off for being arrogant and egotistical, because someone asked me a question. Yes, I did put expert. Because I am. How do I say it without being big-headed? I mean, I do videos where other people copy. I debunk other people, and no one can debunk me. I know it sounds really big-headed. I'm just telling you why I'm the expert. So yeah, I mean, just watch as you follow me. So if you just watch any of my videos, you'll see that I kind of know what I'm talking about. Alicia's wrote, does alien exist? So the easiest way to say yes to that is forgetting the modern aliens, forgetting the little greys, etc. I mean, millions of people have had encounters over the years with greys, but the easiest way to prove that an alien exists is us. We were genetically modified by a race called gods. We're called humans. They were called gods. It was simple as that. And they genetically modified a hominid species. They told us they did that in the oldest known texts. It predates the Bible. We also have fused chromosomes because of them doing their genetic manipulation. And they also tell us that they come from another planet, and so on and so on. So, because we shouldn't be here, we really shouldn't be. I mean, technically, we shouldn't be here twice, but no one really picks up on this. So you've got Homo sapien. That was the first species that suddenly appeared and was from Neanderthal, but something else. In other words, Neanderthal and something missing, and that's the missing link to create the Homo sapien. So you've got a missing something. And then we have Homo sapien sapien, which has another missing link, but we actually know what those missing links are because we have the texts and the evidence to back it up, when and where, etc., that they actually did all these things that these aliens told us that they did. So the reason why we've got a missing link for the first one, for the Homo sapien, is because the Anunnaki genetically modified Neanderthal to create Homo sapien. And the reason why we've got Homo sapien sapien is because the Anunnaki physically bred with the Homo sapiens, which created a smarter race. So we are the evidence of aliens. History and Coins, I'm going to send them double items that I have they can use. Oh, that's very nice of you, History. Oh, that's lovely. James has wrote, just face it, you're really smart and you've worked really hard to share this information. Now, just don't, you'll get me big-headed again. Yeah, I know. Thank you. I don't know what to say to that. I do work really hard. I mean, as soon as I get off of this, I'm back onto that video for the Space Force. So every day I research, every single day. And I am, yeah. I mean, I think the reason, I'll be honest, I think the reason why I push myself in terms of saying that I'm the best is because for the period while I was at school, I was so bad at everything. I was in special needs and everything else, and so I knew for the first 16 years of my life that I was thick, or I believed I was thick because I couldn't read, couldn't write. So now after that, when I think, oh, I'm good at something, I unfortunately, make sure the world knows about it. So that's, I think, why I do that. So it's not, there's a reason for it. But then James wrote, "Thank you, Altruist History. You're more than welcome." James wrote chromosome number 2. I think it's actually number 23 and number 24 that's fused. I think something else number 2 is, because obviously you need 2. You can't fuse number 2 with itself. So it was 23 and 24. But I think there is something else number 2 that also is affected, but not chromosome. There's another name for something. But from my research, it was number 23 and number 24 that was fused together, which makes sense because we have 26 chromosomes and we should have 28. So, yeah. All Energies wrote, "Is there any way to determine if an entity is a jinn compared to a ghost?" So, very good question. No one's asked me that one before. Go number 1 in the class for that. It's a good question. I'm trying to think of everything that I've ever read or heard. I mean, no, really. The only way I would say that you can determine which one would possibly be the jinn would be if they possess people. And so, from my research, possessions are done by not a ghost, not a person that's died, but the other entity. So, the jinn, for example, because you get, and this is documented cases going way, way, way back, that when someone's possessed, they end up speaking, a foreign language or a dead language and things like that. Now, if I died and possessed you, for example, I would speak English because I know English. So me possessing you, there's no way I would know, Arabic, for example, or Aramaic, an old language. But there's many cases where these entities do possess people. So I have a feeling that is how you would know which ones are jinn, the ones that try and possess us. Other than that, supposedly the jinn are bad. And I guess the reason why they would be classed as bad is because they possess people, which is not good for the person that's being possessed. And they also inhabit objects as well, the jinn do. So that's why you have, a doll or something else. So it's not a person connecting with that doll. It's a jinn, so it's another entity. That's why you get the genie. That was the story of the genie. It was attached to the lamp, the original story, not the Disney version. So, I mean, the reason why, if you look at the Emerald Tablets and believe that they're real, the reason why the light energy beings, the ones that join with us, would class them as bad ones is because from their point of view, the other ones are bad. But if you was on the other side and you was part of the jinn or knew about the jinn, you would say, the light energy beings, they're nasty. They keep taking all the humans that we would love to be able to, join with, for example. So I guess there's always two sides to everything, but the Emerald Tablets do give the impression that the light energy beings, well, it's not the impression, it actually says it, fight the jinn. Well, they don't call them the jinn, they call them the night or dark, but it's another entity that they fight. So it's a good question. I don't know the answer to how you would tell the difference other than possibly a possession. James has wrote, "You are the bomb and I appreciate you so much." Oh, thank you, James. Stop. You're going to... let me just read that again. Yeah, you are the bomb and I appreciate it. Oh, thank you, James. Thank you very much. There's so much more stuff coming up, I tell you. I don't know if you follow me on Patreon or just my website or whatever, but there's so much more stuff coming up that's going to be really interesting. The one I'm looking forward to doing, which will be next month, there's more content every week, but one of the ones I'm looking forward to doing is the hell, where hell is. So I'm going to break down when hell was obviously first mentioned, and then break it down into why people believe that the underworld is hell. And that's really to do with, I know that already, that's to do with Ereshkigal and Nurgle, the Anunnakis. So I'm going to break it all down, and I've already done it with Valhalla. It turns out Valhalla was to do with Ereshkigal. That's where they took the bodies. So, the Valkyrie did. So, so there's some really good stuff coming up as usual. Every day I'm researching stuff. Lisa Stars, is parallel universes real? It's a really hard question to answer because so far we have zero evidence of another universe, let alone a parallel one. Now, if, for example, you look at quantum physics, where you have, or quantum entanglement, where you have one particle here and another one somewhere else, and when one blinks off, the other one blinks on instantaneously. In other words, one could be one here and one could be in another universe, and so people seem to believe that these particles may be in another universe. The problem with that is those particles could be at the other end of our universe. We don't know. So we can't say it's in another dimension or another universe, because unless we have a sign that says welcome to another universe, we won't know that it's not just part of our universe. Our universe is obviously massive. We don't even know where it ends or starts. So to say there's a second universe is really difficult. And then to say that there's a parallel one, the problem with that is where did the parallel one start? Did it start when our universe started? And if it's parallel, is it just a twin and life forms and everything evolved differently in that parallel universe? Or is it parallel? In other words, every choice that I'm making, is there another parallel universe doing something slightly different from the choice that I just made in this universe? Now, we do know that nature doesn't waste things. It's not a wasteful. So to have a parallel universe for no reason whatsoever, and then have many versions of me doing this slightly different things, that's a waste. I can't see the universe doing that in any shape or form. So the answer to your question is, I believe there could be other universes, absolutely. I believe there could be other dimensions, but we don't really have evidence. We'll never know unless an alien said to us, you're actually now in a different dimension, or a sign that says you're in a different dimension. Because we created a device right now and we can walk through it and disappear. Does that mean we're in a different dimension? No, it means we could be the other end of the universe, but we think it's a different dimension because it may look different. It may have a pink space instead of black, for all we know. So I don't think we're going to know for a very, very long time. I mean, there's a possibility that. Thank you, Lisa, for those. There's a possibility that the secret military might know, because obviously they've got communications with the aliens, if you believe all of that, which I do. And so alien races, certainly, for example, the Greys, are probably a million years ahead of us in technology. So they've been around a bit and they can obviously travel further than we can. So could they have worked out whether or not there is a second universe? Absolutely, given that time frame. So it's possible our military know whether we're in different universes, etc. But us laymen's unfortunately don't know. So I can't answer that. But the logic says not a parallel one for me anyway. The logic says no, not a parallel. Kerry's wrote, do you think it was Neanderthal simply because we have their DNA? Yeah, I do. The description of them was they're hairy, they walked on their hind legs, they swam, enjoyed swimming. This is not me, this is from the actual Moorhen's translations. So we have, virtually most of the people on this planet have Neanderthal DNA in us. There's only a small percentage that have Homo erectus. So if we look at the logic and say, okay, let's imagine it was Homo erectus that had the one that was genetically modified, which some really bad researchers and people that pretend to channel aliens, etc., have said that it was Homo erectus. I'm not going to name names, but you can just figure out that as long as it's not me being bad, then anyone else is probably wrong. But when they say about Homo erectus, let's work that through. So Anunnaki, let's pretend they genetically modified Homo erectus. So now you've got Homo sapiens stroke Homo erectus. They were here for 200,000 years until the Anunnaki then bred with those Homo sapiens, which would have been part Homo erectus and part Anunnaki. So they would have then bred with them. So then you had another 100,000 years or 90 odd thousand years of the Homo sapiens, which are pretending Homo erectus and Neanderthal, Anunnaki, and still the original Homo sapiens were still alive. They didn't disappear as soon as the Anunnaki started breeding with them, so they would have been around. Now we do have evidence of hominids breeding with different hominids. So there is a skeleton they found that had 50% Neanderthal and 50%. This is not me making this up, and 50% Homo erectus. So we know that even the hominids bred with each other. So during that 290,000 years of both Homo sapiens and Homo sapiens sapiens being part Anunnaki and part Homo erectus, is it possible that any of those then bred with Neanderthal? Absolutely. So let's pretend that Homo sapiens and Homo sapiens sapiens bred with Neanderthal. Would that have constituted more Neanderthal people being here, with DNA, us modern Homo sapiens, with more Neanderthal DNA than Homo erectus? The only reason why I would have said there's a tiny, tiny possibility is obviously because of the flood. The flood did wipe out a lot of people. So is it possible that the ones that had Homo erectus DNA got wiped out a hell of a lot, and the ones that bred with the Neanderthal, the Homo sapiens that bred with the Neanderthal, if they somehow outnumbered after the flood, which I can't see it still. I think it would be Neanderthal. And the reason why there's a small percentage that does have Homo erectus is for the same reason I was just saying, but the opposite way, where we bred with the Homo erectus, us Homo sapiens or Homo sapiens sapiens physically bred with Homo erectus, which gave us some people with Homo erectus DNA in them. That's the way I would see it. JS just wrote, my granddad used to make crop circles in his fields for a laugh with his neighbours. Yeah, there's people out there that certainly do go around and do these crop circles. Unfortunately, they can't produce the same way that the true crop circles are done. So that you probably know that the true crop circles, the nodes are actually superheated from inside and they burst. You'd know that if you looked at a real crop circle, any of the corn inside, just snap one off and look at the node, and it's bursts from the inside because it's superheated with some microwave. There is an actual frequency that does that. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but look into Dr. Levengood's research for the actual frequency that does that. So normal people do make fake crop circles, unfortunately, but the real ones you can tell straight away if you know what you're looking for. Mose has wrote, hello Mose, nice of you to join. The Big Joe Show has wrote, hey, good, I've not been class for ages, but glad to be here. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I've not seen your name but for a while, but I'm good, thank you. Big Joe Show has wrote, do you know anything to do with all consciousness being joined? The only thing I could say to that is the entities. So I believe, from all my research, I believe that there's an entity, an orb, that will join with a person, connects to the pineal gland. Thank you, whoever's doing the hearts, and then that has a soul group, not just a soulmate, a soul group. I've counted up to 6. It could be millions for all I know, but I've counted up to 6 that the soul group re-encounters each time it goes round. So in other words, this time my ex-wife might have been my dad in a previous life, even though it's not her, it's the orb. The orb might have been connected with my dad in a previous life, and now she was my wife. The orb joins with my wife, and next time round, maybe my kid. So in other words, the soul group all is connected, but they all do a different role, because that's what they're there to do. They're there to learn. So from everything that I've researched, I believe that soul group, of which if I have an orb connected with me, would be part of this soul group. But I believe that soul group connects to all of the soul groups. In other words, they're all of the orbs, all of the light energy beings can communicate with each other. That's what I think, and joined. So I can't prove it, but that's what I think. Kimberly's wrote, "Where does your consciousness go when you sleep?" So for me, the conscious. I mean, when you say conscious, I'm guessing you're referring to the orb as opposed to just your brain being active. So the orb stays with you unless it gets to a certain point where I'm not sure if it's zeta waves or something like that may allow it to decide to float off and have an out-of-body experience. Because you and it are connected, you feel like you're floating around when it's really the orb that's floating around outside your body, and then it snaps back in to your body when you start to regain consciousness, for example. But obviously that doesn't happen all the time. It's only in certain circumstances where it leaves your body, etc. But generally, from what I can gather, it stays with you unless you're, ill, really badly ill, and it thinks you're dying, and then it leaves, or your zeta waves or something like that allows it to leave your body. E.g., that's why people meditate, basically, so they can get to that state where they can have an out-of-body experience. Big Joe Shows wrote, where you think the Neanderthal that Anunnaki used to genetic modify us here on Earth already came from. I do think definitely here on Earth, because first of all, he says there's a creature here on Earth, or on Kai. Enki does when he's telling Ninlil and not Ninlil, Nimna and Enlil. But also, it wouldn't have come from their planet, because there's another translation where they're talking about the Neanderthal. In my opinion, it's Neanderthal, and they say that's what they were probably like in the past. I'm paraphrasing here, but so in other words, they've looked at these hominids and said, "Wow, we would have been like them." So they don't. First of all, they don't believe that they were suddenly put on their planet, like some religious people seem to think that happened to us. So they understand that there's evolution and that they would have been like those hominids that they saw here on Earth. So definitely here on Earth. When you look at maps of where Neanderthal started, it was North Africa. Obviously, the Anunnaki flew around and then dumped. Once they created the Homo sapiens, they then dumped them in South Africa, which makes sense because that's where we come from. That's where Homo sapiens were first introduced to the planet, and that's because they basically put us to work there. Mike has wrote, what alien species are our leaders in contact with? So if you believe, for example, the Rendlesham Forest incident, and if you believe the Eisenhower Treaty than the Tall Whites. So their Tall Whites are the ones in charge of the Orion Greys, the android type ones. So definitely them. Now there are some people that say that when they've been abducted, they've seen a praying mantis type alien overseeing the Tall Whites, which are overseeing the small Greys. And supposedly the praying mantis are the oldest physical species here in the known universe, shall we say, because I don't know if there's any other universes. So the only thing I can say for sure would be then that it would be the Tall Whites, because we've got 2 cases that we know they've dealt with the Tall Whites. Now, whether or not there's the Dracos or the Reptilians or anything else are dealing with them, it's hard to say. I believe they probably would be in some capacity. If the Dracos didn't want to kill us, they would probably be dealing with them. Possibly Anunnaki as well, because obviously I don't think all the Anunnaki died out, because technically they would still be living. Certainly the Igigi would be living now. And I think they set up certain places like the Vatican, etc., the Anunnaki. So I think they would be dealing with our leaders as well. All Energies wrote, the Anunnaki referred to the underworld. Is it a specific place or just earth under heaven? So the underworld was later on, although it was originally called Abzu, it was later on called the underworld. Now, interestingly, Ereshkigal and Nargal, who basically were in charge of the underworld, I was looking to see whether or not, I did try and look to see whether or not there was any buildings that had 7 doorway entrances. And the reason why I did that is because when Inanna, in the story that's in tablets called The Descent of Inanna, she had to go through 7 doors to be able to get to see Ereshkigal. Now, Ereshkigal and Nargal did actually also have a domain in Mesopotamia. So after everything, they ended up with... So there's a possibility that although the underworld technically was originally where they were over in South Africa, there's a possibility that Ereshkigal and Nargal moved back to Mesopotamia, or certainly had an abode in Mesopotamia. But again, the Descent of Inanna going to the underworld, they wouldn't have called it the underworld somewhere in Mesopotamia, so it would have had to have been in more than likely Africa, or at least Africa. I would probably say South Africa, but let's just say Africa as a backup to cover me. I've not come across any there are ancient buildings there, but I've never come across one that's got 7 doors to get to the main part. But that's not to say there isn't places with 7 doors that are still around. It's just no one's bothered typing in. You have to get through 7 doors. You know, if you came to my house, you wouldn't write on the internet, I went through 7 doors just to get to the front room. You just say, I went to the front room. And so that's my problem at the moment. So in other words, the answer to your question is the underworld was connected. So Africa or South Africa was connected with Ereshkigal and Nergal, who were in charge of the underworld. That's what's written. So they were in charge of it. So was their building part of the underworld? I think so, and the reason why is because there's another story in ancient texts where if you do good during your life, your statue doesn't get destroyed, and they are in charge of the statues. If you do bad in life, this is why unfortunately all these people get mixed up with Jesus saying, "Oh, you've got to do good" and all this crap. It's not. It's to do with them, and so if you do bad in life, then you're judged by the underworld, Ereshkigal and Nargal, and they destroy your statue. Now, obviously, normal peasants and people like that don't have statues. So it was only really to do with demigods and the Anunnaki themselves. Possibly some priests, maybe some kings. But normal people, no. So that's how you get the underworld. That's what it is to do with, not to do with Jesus saying, yeah, you can go through. You can, no, don't like the look of you. You're not. It was to do with that. We've got the tablets that says it, which makes so much more sense than having someone else judging you, that for no reason whatsoever, because it makes more sense that they smashed up the statues. If you did bad, it was perfect. Makes perfect sense to me. Bassers wrote, maybe we're in a trap and we've forgotten that we need to escape. It's possible. It's possible. It's a tricky one. Yeah, I mean, you could be right. Pressure makes a diamond. I have a very scary video of a massive, I'm guessing it's UFO. Very scary. It was no alien, looked hot, but was not. It was no alien. Alien looked hot, but was not. And then wrote, they took my picture and copywrote it. And then Pressure wrote, sorry, let me just check what Pressure wrote. Sorry for saying silly things. I have a feeling you're being silly there. There was a few words in there that I've avoided reading out. Although the aliens do the things that this person wrote, I'm confused on it. So forgive me if you're telling the truth and stuff. I'm just confused on the way it's worded. Kerry wrote, when Marduk, the god of Israel during Jesus' time... Oh, sorry, was... this is why I was crap at school. I assume writing, because I think I'm probably dyslexic or something. Was Marduk the god of Israel during Jesus' time, who was over Egypt at the time? Egypt, you're looking more like normal people by then. So, when was Cleopatra? That sort of normal person, as opposed to Akhenaten type people, would have been Egypt. I just need to double check that, but yeah, I mean, Akhenaten was way before Jesus from my research, not from mainstreams. Mainstream may have it different, but as you know, my dates are different from mainstreams, but mainstream ends up agreeing with my dates. So was Marduk the god of Israel during Jesus' time? Absolutely. So Marduk was given the reign 3000 BC. There was some intermediate discrepancies between him and Enlil for probably 1,500 years, give or take. I have got all that in my family tree, not family tree, my timeline, where Enlil and Marduk sort of tossed backwards and forwards over that period about giving him the reign. But we know it was around 3000 BC because that's when Yahweh was first mentioned, and when Bel Marduk, look into the word Bel, you'll understand, ended up becoming Yahweh. So yes, Enlil was gone by 2,000 years ago. Marduk would have been in charge. Pressure has wrote, not what was on out property. I'm guessing our property. And then Mary Rodwell visited me about it all. I don't know who Mary Rodwell is. I'm guessing that's someone that is a ufologist, maybe. Sorry, I don't know who that person is. And then Pressure then wrote, the UFO ground object 2 meters roughly off the ground, massive and scary feeling. Can you give us a shape of the UFO? I'd be interested to know. Susie's asking, Susie Q's asking questions to Pressure, meaning no alien looked like it would be in that big pink red plasma ball. Advanced something twice, appeared twice. So it was a plasma ball. Then is that what you saw? And it was 2 meters off the ground. I can't remember how big you said the actual thing was. Interesting. Real has wrote just one simple question: who is God? Who should we pray to or ask for help? That's actually more than one question, but okay, no worries. So who is God depends on who. Well, the Anunnaki's race name was God, so it depends on who you're particularly referring to. The Bible actually refers to different Anunnaki at different times. That's the reason why you've got a few different names of God in there. So Jehovah was Enki, Yahweh was Marduk, El was Enlil. I can show all of this with evidence if you follow or just go to my website, outtruehistory.co.uk. You'll see all the evidence you'll ever need. So the race names were God. So when you refer to a God, if I picked a particular passage in the Bible, so for example, Genesis 1:26, that would have been Enki saying, let us make them in our image, plural. Let us make them in our image. That would have been Enki. If you talk about something that happened 2,000 years ago, that would have been Marduk. So there's different gods in the Bible, which not a lot of people understand that because they don't want to understand it. Who should we pray to? Certainly not the Anunnaki. They won't do anything. The race that, although their race name's gods, the name Anunnaki is just a name that was given for those that came from heaven to earth, space to earth. So don't bother praying to them. And then when you wrote or ask for help, spirit guides. So spirits, from my opinion, has nothing to do with God whatsoever, because God, the race name, belongs to the Anunnaki. We know that from the tablets. If you're interested in seeing the evidence that the Anunnaki were the gods in the Bible, just go to my website, outtruehistory.co.uk, scroll down to where it says click here in blue letters. That's your evidence that God, the amount of time, every single day I do these lives, not one person's come back and said, you're wrong because the tablet, blah, 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 that says this, that predates the Bible is wrong, because no one does that. They can't, because it's not me being smart. I just collated the evidence. It's there and shows it in a way that breaks down any ambiguity whatsoever that they were gods. That's what I've done. That's what I'm good at, I guess. So if you're interested in that evidence. So yes, so spirits is a totally different thing from my research. You do have spirit guardians. You don't have angels. Angels were messengers. They were just... That's the original name for an angel, was actually messengers. We've got the tablets that tell us that the Anunnaki had messengers doing the same things that the angels did. So it was just the Anunnaki using messengers in between them and us little humans. So they would fly around. An archangel was a pilot or a leader. So when you read, next time you read it, and they're doing the same things that the messengers did in the Sumerian tablets, you go, makes sense. Precious wrote, did you say the descent of Inanna? I did indeed. So it's Inanna, Inanna. Funny enough, I was watching. I research every single day. There's an actual video that's on YouTube, and it's sort of like a play on Inanna. So someone had got the information. Anyway, she's in this play. They're trying to quote, texts and stuff, but they actually said that Enki's daughter was Inanna, and I was like, do they mean? Are they actually getting that mistaken? Do they mean it was his stepdaughter? Because technically, Inanna is Enlil's daughter. No, sorry, Enlil's granddaughter. But not. We know who Inanna's father is. It was Nana. So even these people get things wrong. And so I was watching this video. I might put the link up if anyone's interested in it, but it's wrong. So unfortunately, it's not worth watching it from a historical point of view. But they had this woman dressed up and pretending that she was Inanna and stuff. I thought it was quite cool for that. But then when they started getting the information wrong, I thought it was shame. Reels, who do we pray to Enki or no? The Anunnaki, Enki's I think's dead now anyway. But no, don't pray to any gods, because the gods were just like us. They were just we're manipulating creatures now. So should Dolly the sheep that was cloned, should any other insect or animal that we create worship us and pray to us? No, we're not special. We're just doing what they did. So yeah, don't pray to them, but ask for help for spirit guides. Definitely spirit guides. Precious wrote, you tell your auroric field it's like a computer clearly speak your needs. And then Precious wrote, great talk. Thank you very much, Pressure. Drew has wrote, Archon soul trap theory. So from my research, there is no soul trap. I just think it's really bad researchers that do that. So, people say, the moon's a soul trap. Yeah, right. So we've got evidence of why the moon's there. We know why the moon's there. We've got tablets that predates the Bible that tells us about how our solar system was formed, including the planet, our moon. And it was long story short, but basically our moon was here when Earth was here because of a smash planet. Long story short, but so for that to have suddenly become a soul trap, the only way it would have done that is if there was aliens on there that was snatching the souls, and in which case it's not really a soul trap. It's just someone snatching so the planet, the moon, isn't a soul trap. So just really bad researchers that don't look at the whole picture. Instead, they just look at the moon and say, aha. For example, a remote viewer, Major Ed Dames, and he saw greys with orbs, and they saw him, and so that story got out, and so people think, the greys of harvesting souls, etc., etc. Straight away assume stuff. Now there's a possibility that the orb might have been controlling the grey. That's how thick people are. They just assume stuff straight away. And so I wouldn't listen to other people when it comes to soul trap. That's just my opinion. I know I'm not going to mention any names. I know Y-Files. Oh, sorry, I just mentioned it. Had done a video on the soul trap and everything else, but he also done one on Anunnaki, and he admitted on my video, because I redid one showing where he was wrong on the Anunnaki, and he wrote, fair dues, guy. Your research is excellent, and he does his for entertainment purposes. So, and that's still on my, unless he's deleted it, that's still, I've showed a video of it anyway. So he admits. So in other words, no, is my take on that one. V has wrote, awesome live, 247 off driving now. Thank you very much, V, for joining in. Bless you. Shovel Tooth has wrote, I fancy myself as a sixth density wanderer, but I'm probably just a dirty third repeater. There's no such shame in that. You knock yourself out. Enjoy yourself. Precious wrote, the Get YS, the Gettys. I'm not sure what the Gettys is, or the Get YS is. Sorry, I don't know what that means. Jazz has wrote, thoughts on the Mandela effect. Definitely think it's real. I've covered this a couple of times on some lives where I mentioned that when I went to Gran Canaria, I was sitting in the window seat, and and I was filming it out of the window seat, the clouds, because I thought I might need that footage for stock footage. Back then we didn't have, shutter stock and all these kind of things. Anyway, once the Mandela effect kicked in and I found out that engines are pushed forward now in front of aeroplanes, I went back and looked at that footage, and now there's a freaking engine in the way. So from my point of view, it's real. Something changed. I don't film 5 minutes of an engine. I'm not stupid. So something's happened now. The trick is, though, could it have always been happening? And the reason why I say could it have always been happening is only because we've got things now that we can look back at references, e.g. my videotape. Whereas people 100 years ago, if you're lucky, you might have a photograph. And so when someone says, "Oh, do you remember the blah, blah, blah?" And they look at it, they look at a photograph, two people, and they go, "Yeah, I thought it was different. Oh, well." But now we've got a collective of people on the internet going, no, that was wrong. And so, this whole Mandela effect could have been happening since the dawn of time. For all we know, that things are changing behind us, or changing in front. It's hard to know whether it's changing behind or changing in front. But things do seem to be changing. So it could have been an ongoing thing, but because we don't have the references. So I know people say, "Oh, it was CERN. It was, your spirits jumped ship and went to another parallel universe and da 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 da." So it's really, really difficult to say for sure that it's not already been happening forever. So I can't answer how or why. I mean, there's plenty of theories out there, but no one seems to look at the possibility that it's already been happening forever. If we didn't have internet and that, we would just be, people would have said, "Oh, I thought Mandela died. Oh, well," and that would have been the end of it. But because we've got the internet, we can post it up and people can read it and go, "Do you know what? I agree. I thought he would also died earlier," and so on and so on. So it could have been happening forever for all we know. So I can't answer it, I'm afraid. Drew has wrote Amen Ra. Not sure, not really a question. I'm not sure if you want me to talk about Amen Ra. Now, you've got Ra and Amen Ra, both the same person. One was pre-diluvial, in other words, before the flood. I can never remember which way round it is. Don't hate me. Amen Ra would have been Marduk. Marduk was also known as Aten and also known as Amen. So Amen is actually, in the Egyptian, is the same word as Amen. So that makes sense that Marduk was one of the same people. But I don't know how much more you know about Ra, so I don't want to waffle on about his lineage and his father and his daughters and his whatever else, and the colours of their depictions and his masks and because I don't know how much you know if you haven't asked the full question. So I'll have to move on, I'm afraid, on that one. Shovels wrote "Laugh out loud." Hopefully that was something funny I said. Drew has wrote Archon. Yeah. So I think you mentioned something earlier. I'm guessing you're asking about the Archons. I have no evidence whatsoever of Archons. I know people say there's Archons, but when you do proper research, not just listening to YouTubers, you'll find that no one's ever been abducted by an Archon. No one's ever, had a out-of-body experience with an Archon. All you've got is people talking about Archons. Now, I know there is one or two mentions in old texts that give the impression that there was Archons, but again, doesn't necessarily mean they're an alien race. It could have just been. I mean, do you know how many different cultures there were in Mesopotamia? You had so many that even small ones that got wiped out. Literally by, for example, the Hittites would have wiped some out. So there's names I still come across to this day that was in Mesopotamia, and I think, I've never heard of them. And then you do a little bit of research, and they lived for 100 years, that group, and they got wiped out. So this is why I say about the Archons, there's a possibility that it was just another race that got wiped out here on Earth. It doesn't have to be an alien race, but I have no evidence whatsoever to connect anything whatsoever with an Archon as an alien race. The Dark Moth has wrote the god folks pray to is AI. Well, technically, no. Don't hate me for this. So, the religious, in other words, you say the god folk. So the religious people were praying to what they believed was a god, an almighty being. Now, unfortunately, their Bible is copying texts, which is a fact. So the Bible is actually referring to the Anunnaki as the gods. So when you say they prayed to AI, technically the Anunnaki were the ones that they're praying to, but they don't even know it. And the Anunnaki were not AI. So unless you can tell me otherwise, but that's the way it would work, because the Anunnaki were the gods in the Bible. That's a fact. If you're interested in seeing the evidence of that, if anyone wants to see the evidence of the Anunnaki being the gods in the Bible, just go to my website, outtruehistory.co.uk, scroll down to where it says click here in blue letters, and you'll get the evidence. But I'd be interested to know how you got to that conclusion that it's AI, if you wouldn't mind. Kerry's picked up on it as well. Kerry replied to the Dark Moth, are you saying that they had AI 3,000 years ago? So I'm guessing that'll be interesting. And then he's wrote, oh yes, the Dark Moth has wrote yes. So the religious people are actually just praying to the Anunnaki. I can't see them praying to AI, because the Anunnaki would have needed to be AI. I kind of see why you thought that, but obviously when you realise that the Anunnaki are the gods. Now, if you say, we're all trapped in an AI environment and we don't know, then that's possible. But you can't really say that the religious people are praying to AI when they're praying to the god, which was the Anunnaki. Kerry's asked for proof from Dark Moth, and then Dark Moth has then replied, they drip feed tech to the humans as novel has been in the pipeline for time. I agree, we have been drip fed the technologies that we have. I mean, fiber optics, for example, and lasers came from the Roswell crash and back engineered, and eventually we ended up with it. So not every bit of tech that comes from an alien spacecraft or from aliens we actually end up getting, or certainly not yet. But that doesn't make the religious people praying to an AI if we're just drip fed technology from the military. So because you've got to remember, literally for 300,000 years we was all, other than metallurgy, we had no advanced technology. It wasn't really till the Industrial Revolution that we ended up with leaps and bounds, and then obviously pretty much since the Roswell crash with the transistor and everything else, that we've jumped even further and a lot quicker. So I wouldn't say we've been drip fed for 300,000 years from an AI giving us technology, when really it's only been the last 200 years, give or take, that we have actually any of that technology that you're saying was drip fed, if that makes sense. The Dark Moth has wrote Ishtar. So I'm guessing you're saying Ishtar drip fed us. I'm not quite sure why you mentioned that, but let's assume that Ishtar drip fed us. Well, the Anunnaki probably wouldn't have wanted us to have their technology. Obviously, you know that Ishtar is Inanna, which was one of the Anunnaki goddesses. That's why they're called goddesses, because that's their race name, which goes back to the whole point of, you must know then that if you know Ishtar, then you know that she was a goddess, in which case you know that the people that's praying in the Bible are praying to the Anunnaki, which race names were called gods, which is why she was a goddess. Jacqueline has wrote, there is nothing under the sun, so everything you see has been here, including AI. There is nothing under the sun. So all the little pinpricks at night are under the sun. Is that what you would say? All the stars that we look up, is everything? Absolutely everything is under the sun. Can I ask why you would say that everything's under the sun? Please don't use the word firmament. Please don't use that word. And the reason why you can't use that word is because, unfortunately, silly people have no idea where the word firmament comes from. They quote the freaking Bible of all places, which is ridiculous. Because so the firmament, as in the older text, which is the translations in the Moorhen collection, says that the protection that we get from the asteroid belt, that's their words, not mine, is then they call that protection the firmament. So instead of saying protection, it's firmament. So we're protected, and unfortunately, and it goes around the earth, which is what the Bible ended up saying, but silly people ended up assuming that it was a dome, an invisible dome over earth, when we actually have the original tablet. So please, when you say there's nothing under the sun, please do not use the word firmament. So sorry, I don't mean to sound rude. I'm just, I'm very literal, and I give the evidence and facts. So I can't. If I come across rude, I don't mean to be. It's just I'd rather just cut to the chase, let you understand what's going on in the world, and then Real has wrote, so pray to our spirit guides. Thanks. How about the creator, or pray to source, as spiritualists say? The problem we've got with that is, while I agree that the Anunnaki did mention, and I'm the only one that worked out the name of what they called the creator of everything, go watch my amazing documentaries on my website. They didn't seem to pray to it. There's no record of them praying. That's not to say they didn't, but there's no record of them praying to a creator or source. So if the Anunnaki never mentioned creator or source, or anything like that, if the Anunnaki never mentioned that, we wouldn't know. So let's forget that the Anunnaki. So then let's go to where we believe there is a creator or source, the Bible. But the Bible is Anunnaki. That's a fact. So we've got the tablets where Enki tells Noah to build the boat and all that kind of stuff. We've got all of the tablets we need to prove. So if we get rid of the Bible, then we've got no creator of everything. We've got no gods, except for the Anunnaki. So let's remove the Anunnaki and remove the Bible, because they are technically the same. Would we then pray to the source? No. Why wouldn't we pray to the source? Because the source has not made itself known to us in order for us to know to pray to it. The only reason why we think we need to pray to something is because the Anunnaki made us pray, and praying is not the same way that the Bible makes it seem like it's praying. It's praying, not bloody, oh, please. Later on, when people were desperate, they were praying, oh, please, let it rain and stuff. But when you read the prayers to the Anunnaki, they weren't like they are in the Bible. So if you remove the Anunnaki and remove the Bible, which are one of the same, you've got nothing whatsoever. No creator of anything has given us any indication whatsoever to pray to him. So the logic is, don't bother. Don't bother at all to pray to anything, a source or creation. Just ask your spirit guides for help if you need help. They can hear your thoughts. You don't have to sit there. You don't have to do it any time of day. You don't have to do it at night. They can hear your thoughts. So just constantly ask and see if you get an answer in a way that will help you. Jacobs wrote, what happens when you die? You're in control of the orb that joined with you. At some point or another, that orb has to cross over again, goes to the light, and then that orb has your memories in a file just like a hard drive, and then that orb goes around to another another person, and sometimes that person can remember a previous life, but it's not their previous life. They can remember, or they can recall the files on that orb, on that hard drive, just like taking a hard drive from one computer to another. So all it is, doesn't mean the files are created on that new computer. Doesn't mean that hard drive belonged to that new computer. Just means you've took the hard drive, stuck it into a new computer, and now you can access the files from the previous computer. So unfortunately, you have a period where you can float around and do what you want, but at some point, as clairvoyants say, the orb crosses back over, or you cross over, and you're never heard of again. A name I can't pronounce. As right, what tablets are you referring to? Oh, loads. There's over 2 million. So, and that's just Sumerian alone. So, if you want me to be specific, I would suggest, if you're referring to the Anunnaki being our gods, that's their race name, then all you have to do is go to my website. I show the evidence and I show where it is. So just go to my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk, scroll down to where it says click here in blue letters. That's all you have to do. Watch that, and then that's the end of it. No religious person has ever come back to me, ever, and can't. In fact, every single time on a post, I say to them, religious people say, "Oh, God loves me," and all this kind of stuff, and Jesus, repent, and all this, and blasphemy. And I say, would you like to see the evidence that the gods were the Anunnaki? None. None say yes. They all change the subject. I write back saying, no worries, you've got zero faith, don't worry, no one ever does. So if you're interested in seeing where the evidence is, that's where you can get all the evidence, because I point to exactly where all the translations are and everything that predate the Bible. The name I can't pronounce is right, souls snatching aliens, yes. Well, what do you call it? Linda Moulton Howe has said that she was told. So Linda Moulton Howe's a long-term researcher, well respected. She was told that 3 different alien races are fighting each other by stealing each other's orbs, entities, souls, whatever you want to call them. So it's interesting. Then the same person then wrote, "This guy's onto something." Again, that was part of Linda Moulton Howe's research. So I credit where credit's due. Speaking of Drew, Drew has wrote, "Jay's, it's an alternative theory explaining about reincarnation. The moon is said to be an instrument." Again, this is why I don't like people that don't. Not you, I'm not saying you, but the silly people out there that don't bother researching properly. This is why I have to learn everything, because once I know that the moon was literally just a moon that belonged to Tiamat, another planet that got smashed up, and we know that because of the tablets, and we also know that because NASA agrees that there was a planet, and astronomers agree that there was a planet that got smashed into, blah, blah, blah. So when we know that the moon is literally just a moon, nothing more and nothing less, then anything that's added to that moon is just silly people making up stuff because they have no idea. And they'll come out with things like, but the moon faces one way all the time. That's impossible. Turns out it's not that impossible. NASA has found, I did a video showing that NASA's found another planet outside our solar system that faces a planet, not a moon, a planet that faces its sun all the time. So that ends the whole, the moon's, a spaceship, the moon's this, the moon's that, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, no, I would go with my research as opposed to anyone saying the moon's an instrument. I would just stick with the original tablets. And the original tablets, don't forget, tell us that there's an asteroid belt, told us the names of the planets. Even the Greeks told us the names of the planets. No one says, hang on a minute, how did the Greek gods know all about the planets when we couldn't physically see them? They did. And you know why? It's because the Greek gods were the same gods as the Anunnaki gods. The name I can't pronounce right. What even is this? I'm not sure what you're referring to. Real has wrote, is Billy Carson legit or does he spread half-truths and full lies? Well, in order for someone to lie, you need to know the truth. So, for example, if I was to lie to you, I would need to know the truth to then lie. There's researchers out there, I'm not going to mention any names, even though you mentioned Billy Carson. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'm not going to mention any names, but there are researchers out there that believe the bad research that they've come up with, if that makes sense. So I don't think they're lying. I think they try. They'll go along on a tangent and they'll come up with an idea. And unfortunately, a researcher, I'm not going to mention any names, did a video the other day where Billy said, envy, don't ride on the shirt tails of other people, stop using their research, blah, blah, blah. And I think he was aiming that video at me, when, first of all, I don't ever look at his research because it's full of holes. But and it's not envy. I just want him to stop saying stuff that I can prove, and I have done many, many times, with evidence where he's wrong. So what he should be doing is going, do you know what? Okay, he's got me here, but he can't now. The problem is once you're that famous, you can't put his hands up and say, same as David Icke, you can't put your hands up and say, actually, sorry guys, this guy over there who's a nobody, has been researching 40 years, he's damn good and he's caught me out so many times. It wasn't my intention. I thought I was on the right path. This guy's on the right path. I know I charge people for... This would be him, for example. I know I charge people to go on my website and everything to watch my research, but feel free not to go on my website and pay me anymore. Go watch that other guy called Our Truth History. He's not going to say that. So unfortunately, I guess you have two choices. You can either watch their research and look for evidence that they never show, or watch my videos where I always show evidence. So I don't know, it's up to you which one you want to choose. Susie Q wrote to Real that there are those who claim to channel questionable if responses from source. Interesting there. Susie Drew has wrote, we're eternal light entities stuck here, cylindrical, till we ascend to our consciousness. From my research, you're almost there, but it's not us. It's not us that's light entities. We're not eternal, as you wrote. We're eternal light energy. We can't be, because you have it. Let's just say you're as you say, reincarnate. If yours belongs to the person before, then it's not yours, correct? Now you could say, but that person and me are one and the same. No problem at all. Go all the way back to the very first person. He gets a brand new soul. His wife gets a brand new soul. Okay, fair enough. Their kids get a brand new soul. You guess where I'm going to go with this. Their kids' kids get a brand new soul. Why ain't I got a brand new soul? Why did they get some? And then finally the dad dies, but he has to now wait for the kids' to have kids in order for his entity to join one of theirs now. You see where I'm going with it? It just doesn't work. The only way it works is if there's an entity that's nothing to do with us, that joins with us, learns with us, and then buggers off and goes round into someone else. That's the only way it works. So you was almost right. The orbs are eternal light entities stuck here in a going round and round. Correct. And then they ascend. We don't ascend. They ascend. Their consciousness. They ascend basically. So they go up from my research. They go up from where they are when they die, which is just an orb, soul, spirit, whatever you want to call it. And then if they learn enough, they then move up to become on the third plane of existence, which is a spirit guide. All right, I completely forgot my boy's due today, isn't he, back? So I'm going to have to shoot, guys. Sorry, I've completely forgot. It's my son's due today. Sorry, I was only supposed to do the live for... So visit my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk. You can get to all the evidence, all the videos from that website. Thank you very much to all the moderators, etc. today, as always. Forgive me, I completely forgot that my boy was off at school. So, all right, I'll talk to everyone later. Thank you, guys. I've got to go get him now out from outside. Thank you, guys. Take care, everybody. Bye. Bye.